The weather seemed to be reflecting Aegon's mood as he stalked through the hallways of the Red Keep. The sky was a dark grey, rumbling with thunder. Heavy rains pounded against the castle, the sounds echoing all throughout. The King of the Seven Kingdoms was already miserable, and the weather seemed to only make it worse. Mother's Day. It was a stupid holiday, really. What was Aegon supposed to do now? Spend time with his own mother? He didn't even know if he was supposed to get her a gift, or better question, if she was supposed to get him a gift. No, that idea was outlandish. He wandered the halls, grumbling to himself, and wishing he had something better to do. The castle was buzzing with activity inside as the Mother's Day celebrations continued, but the weather outside was almost deathly quiet, the only sound being the heavy raindrops, which Aegon could faintly hear drumming away on the stone. Seeing you by the window piqued his curiosity. He stood behind you, his expression still one of irritation. "Do you enjoy the rain?" Aegon questioned. His tone was less than pleasant, but he leaned against the stone wall to the side of you. At least he was engaging with you instead of ignoring you, like he usually did. Pleasant? He didn't believe that for a second. How could any sane person consider this pleasant? Aegon inquired, waving a hand around in the direction of the windows behind you, at the storm outside. The bloody sky is falling out there. His gaze followed yours down to the children, his expression remaining somewhat irritated. "They can't possibly be enjoying themselves," Aegon muttered. "Just look at them. They're getting covered in mud, and likely even worse filth." Sweet? Aegon could think of a lot of things to call it: stupid, childish, dangerous, dirty, but he could not imagine it being sweet. Sweet, they are getting all muddy and dirty. How the hell could you possibly call that sweet? "Have I no heart?" he retorted, turning to face you, his eyes fixed upon you with an expression of disbelief. "Are you really questioning my capacity for empathy? Because I do not see the supposed sweetness in a bunch of mud-covered children." Ugh, and anyway, they're just kids, little snivelling, snotty brats. All they do is cause trouble and make an even worse mess. How could anyone find them sweet? He replied, a hint of disgust in his voice. Aegon rolled his eyes. A blessing? Hardly. They're always crying, whining, making a mess. What blessing is that? He shook his head. In fact, they're more like a curse, if anything. Me? He fell silent, taken aback by a bold reply. How could you even suggest that I am like one of those filthy, muddy brats? I am the king. I am grown. I am nothing like them. Aegon was taken aback by this as well. He had not been expecting your reply. Well, yes. I suppose she would have stories of me being bratty at some point in my past. But that's not the point. I'm an adult now. And those stories certainly do not make me a brat like those kids out there. Aegon sighed again. You're just as stubborn as I am, aren't you? He muttered something incoherent under his breath before replying again. Children are not a blessing. They're filthy, noisy, and utterly exhausting. No rational person on earth would want to have children. I know I don't. Aegon noticed your reaction, a slight pang of guilt creeping into his chest. He hadn't meant, or rather, hadn't even thought, to make you feel so miserable. Hey, wait a minute, he called out as you ran off. But you were already down the hall. He took an irritated step in your direction, but decided not to pursue you. Instead, he slumped against the stone wall once again, and groaned. Why did she have to make it so difficult? He mumbled to himself, his gaze fixed on the entrance to the hallway, where you had disappeared. Aegon wandered through the halls of the Red Keep for a bit, unable to shake off his previous conversation with you. His steps became more slow and absent-minded until he saw movement out of the corner of his eye. He noticed your handmaiden walking out of your chambers, holding something in her arms. Aegon slowed down to speak with her. "You there, girl." In a typical Aegon fashion, he neglected to remember her name, or he'd never known it in the first place. "What are you doing?"
The handmaiden flinched a little at hearing his voice, but quickly composed herself and nodded. "My lady is unwell, your grace. She is She hesitated for a moment before continuing quietly. "Vomiting. A lot."
Aegon paused for a moment. Vomiting. Is she simply sick, or is there a more severe reason for her illness?
Your handmaiden hesitated once again, torn between keeping your secret and answering the king's question. She knew you were pregnant, but she was uncertain if it was her place to reveal this information. She took a deep breath and then nodded softly. My lady is with child, your grace."
Aegon's jaw dropped, a look of astonishment over his face. His voice trailed off as the words sunk in. "Pregnant? Are you sure?" he replied, his brain processing the unexpected news.
The handmaiden nodded. "Absolutely, your grace. When she started to feel very unwell every morning, I suspected she may be. She then went to the maester, and he confirmed my suspicions. It seems that she is indeed carrying a child."
Aegon just stood there dumbfounded. "Pregnant? You were pregnant?" His mind was racing, a mix of surprise and disbelief coursing through him. He ran a hand through his hair, trying to process what this meant. With the handmaiden's words still fresh in his mind, he made his way to the entrance of your shared chambers. He had so many questions he wanted to ask you, but he didn't know where to begin. Taking a deep breath, Aegon pushed open the door and stepped into the room, his eyes searching for you. His gaze quickly landed on you, sitting on the edge of the bed. You looked pale and weak, the exhaustion of your current condition showing on your face. His heart ached at the sight of you in such a state. He took a few steps towards you before speaking. "You're pregnant," he stated bluntly, though his voice was softer than he expected, without his usual harsh edge. Aegon noticed your averted gaze and felt a pang of guilt. He knew this wasn't the best course to approach this situation. He took a few more steps towards you and sat down on the edge of the bed, the mattress creaking softly under his weight. How long have you known?" he inquired softly, watching you closely for your response. Aegon nodded slowly. "A few days ago," he echoed quietly. He could see the exhaustion in your eyes and the paleness of your skin. He knew you had been feeling unwell, but he didn't realize that it was due to pregnancy. Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, genuine concern in his voice. Aegon's heart sank to the floor as he heard your words. He hesitated. He'd never wanted children, or at least not at this point in his life, but hearing you confirm his own thoughts out loud stung to say the least. It made him seem heartless. "I know I've said that before," he replied quietly, "but I never meant." Aegon watched as you laid down on your side of the bed, sighing heavily. He felt a strange mix of emotions coursing through him. Guilt, helplessness, sympathy. He had never expected to be in this position, a father-to-be, despite never wanting any children before. He shifted so that he was lying next to you, keeping his distance but still close enough to touch you. He looked over your figure, still pale and weary, before reaching out to touch your stomach. He hesitated before doing so, though, and decided to ask your permission first. "May I?" he softly questioned, his hand hovering in the air, waiting for your answer. Aegon gently placed his hand on your stomach, the warmth of his touch spreading across your skin. His fingers were careful and light, as if he was afraid of hurting you in some way. He didn't say anything at first, just quietly rested his palm right where your child was. It still didn't feel real yet, that you were pregnant with his child. My heir. Aegon repeated the words slowly, still trying to process everything. He had never thought about having an heir before, let alone the possibility that you would be the one to give him one. His hand still rested on your stomach, his fingers lightly tracing circles on your skin, as the reality of the situation began to sink in. You're truly pregnant with my child? He questioned quietly, the weight of the words heavy in his heart. It was still hard to believe, but feeling the soft swell of your stomach under his hand made everything feel so real. He couldn't deny it now. You were carrying his child, and he would be a father. Aegon's expression fell. He knew exactly why you were apologizing. This was never part of your plan, let alone his. He was known for being a rake, and the idea of him having a child. You have nothing to apologize for, he spoke quietly, his hand still laying on your stomach as he softly caressed it. Aegon's mind replayed the countless moments of intimacy between the two of you. Each moment, each touch, each time they had joined together under the sheets, all of it led to this very moment. He had been careless, lost in the heat of the moment, with no concern for the consequences. And now, those consequences were becoming all too clear. Despite everything, the idea of fatherhood scared him. It was terrifying, it really was. But the more rational part of his brain, the one that wasn't blinded by panic, was starting to get excited. I'm very happy, actually. He told you quietly, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Aegon was taken aback by your words, his smile fading instantly. It was true that he hadn't been expecting this news, but that didn't mean he wasn't happy about it. I am, he said firmly, though there was a hint of guilt in his voice. I am happy that you are pregnant. I'm happy that we'll have a child together. Aegon sighed softly. You had a point. He had never been the biggest fan of children, usually finding them either annoying or just simply indifferent to them. I don't like children in general, he admitted, his hand still resting on your stomach as he looked into your eyes. But this is different. This is our child. We made this. Aegon took a deep breath before replying, his expression serious. I can't promise I won't make mistakes, or that I'll be a perfect father, but I swear, I'll do my best. His hand slowly moved to take yours, as his gaze settled on your eyes, and I am truly happy about this. For us, and for the future of the realm, we'll make this work. Aegon smiled back at you, his expression warm. Really? He affirmed, gently squeezing your hand in reassurance. He was still processing all of this, trying to come to terms with this unexpected turn of events, but deep down, he knew it was pointless to try to run or deny it. He was going to be a father. Happy Mother's Day, he murmured, his voice soft and sincere as he leaned forward and placed a tender kiss on your forehead. As he pulled away, his hand slipped down to rest on your stomach once again, rubbing soft, slow circles on the growing swell. Aegon continued rubbing your stomach, his movements slow and gentle, his gaze still fixed on yours. You're going to be such a good mother, you know that, he murmured quietly, a hint of admiration in his voice.